Welcome to UNCAGED. Today we're speaking with Gamiel Gran. We're really going to focus on the conversation of artificial intelligence today. Certainly, anyone that was alive or picked up any form of media in 2023 read an article about AI in some form or fashion. Certainly anyone that is working in technology and looking at how the world is reshaping itself is thinking about AI. And so Gamiel and his colleagues at Mayfield are certainly part of that movement. And we're going to be talking about what they're seeing out there, why they're so excited, and some of the things that we hopefully will see in the very, very near future. So Gamiel, great to have you on the show. Before we start, maybe if you just give the folks just a quick overview on Mayfield.
Mayfield, we're in the venture capital business, as you mentioned. Early stage is the specific stage, which is a very, very different stage than broadly venture capital alone can describe. So early stage is this part where that entrepreneur, that scientist, that innovator, that really passionate individual is creating something new. And they're either creating a new market, an entirely new market, or disrupting a current market. And these are people that have, enormous capacity to take a lot of no's and turn them into something that creates a market. This is an early product market fit stage, that whole PMF process. We Mayfield have been doing this for about 50 years, 54 to be exact. We've invested in about 600 companies. We're typically the first institutional money going in. So we sit down and consult with that entrepreneur to take them from inception to iconic. And that's a term we use. So ideally, we can help them find that early product market fit, something I call violent product market fit. So don't be a nice to have solution, be a true must have solution that somebody wants to grab out of your hand violently, so to speak. And when you realize that sort of product market fit, elegant connection with a customer, things take off and you really do become an iconic company. So we have a passion for helping entrepreneurs. The stage of investing that Mayfield is at is more qualitative than quantitative in a sense, meaning we don't have charts of numbers of how many customers and what the profitability is and all of those things yet. It really is about realizing that fit. And it's more about the skill set of that entrepreneur, almost more than anything else. And we use this term people first investing. Typically, investing looks at the 3 T's, the technology, the TAM, and the team. We over-index on the last one, the team, because that skill set of the team is really makes the company at early stage.
Well, inception to iconic. I'm excited to hear some early, perhaps maybe some inception AI stories here. AI clearly was, I'd say, the big story in 2023 as people suddenly became aware of what machine learning potentially could be offering individuals and companies. And certainly going into this year in 2024, there's been a lot of excitement of AI usage. In fact, I don't think I see a company mentioned these days without some type of a AI tag on it. But Gamiel, tell me a little bit about what you're seeing out there and what verticals and what you're excited about.
Yeah, great. So first of all, AI is not new. I mean, the concept that unleashed AI with ChatGPT, I think, opened up a bit of a renaissance of innovation in that it was more clearly understood by the common business user, by the common individual, almost at a search bar level. Prior, though, if you think of imaging technology, computer vision, ADAS, which is the underlying platform for autonomous vehicles. Nearly all cars today have some sort of cognitive capability to understand how close I am to another car, can self-park, and can just even see with visual cameras. So that whole concept's been there. A lot of us have Alexa devices or otherwise voice-controlled Siri devices. This is advanced AI. Robotics have been around for years. In fact, my senior thesis at Cal Berkeley was on robotics, changing the way automotive industry and various manufacturing industries could be that more productive. And largely, I think this is all the same, but building a little bit more capacity to take on full autonomous capability, where human in the loop, the term that we use a lot, becomes more autonomous.
Hmm.
And that human in the loop is actually more productive. So I think the big fascinating thing for me at a macro level is we're about to unlock trillions of dollars of productivity, human productivity, that will begin to be leveraged in ways that we've never seen before. And we're probably going to solve some really big problems like climate, like healthcare, like longevity, like
Hmm.
everything. And at some level, I think that the fascination at the person level that, hey, I can call up ChatGPT and it can actually populate a schedule or find a restaurant or do something as an advanced search is really just the tip of the iceberg of opportunity. I think we're at the
Hmm.
beginning of something that is much bigger than people can even quite imagine. And the initial reaction to AI, while driving lots of innovation at the corporate leadership level, CEOs
Hmm.
running down the hall to their CIOs and saying, hey, we've got to leverage this thing.
Hmm.
You hear CEOs like the CEO at IBM talking about how he's taken his HR organization from 500 people down to 50 people. But then he furthers that by saying those 450 people are now doing other amazing work that we were short skilled on
Hmm.
through the rest of IBM. And I do think that to a great extent, we are just tipping the iceberg here, but the opportunity is still at the plumbing level. I don't think
Yeah.
people truly understand how big this really is.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way you set that up, and I couldn't agree more. I've seen, I actually did my dissertation on generative AI in the media industry, and when I was looking at AI, this was 3, 4 years ago. You obviously look at a lot of the things that we're seeing come to fruition today have been in decades in progress in some form or fashion. And so it's exciting to now see people get more emotional and kind of think about how they could apply it. But you raised a really interesting one because I love that idea of the CEO running down the hall and saying, hey, we need more of this AI stuff. Like, what are we gonna do? One of the questions I've had is that there was a lot of this discussion around upskilling,
Mhm.
and how AI will play a role, in pushing companies to upskill and have us do stuff. I mean, it sounds to me like what you're saying is that whilst ideas are germinating, they're coming to market, operationalizing these things in kind of a macro way, we're still we're still getting our heads around that. Is that
Yeah, and I
fair
think
or?
largely because the plumbing layer is sort of the first layer that has to come together. So of course, we think as investors, early stage investors, we think that there's a lot of opportunity to create the plumbing.
Hmm.
And the plumbing, if I could just break it down for a second, we're all the way down at the infrastructure level. Of course, NVIDIA creating the core infrastructure, the GPUs, really is the advancement in technology at that compute level that
Hmm.
can take large data sets and transform them into insight as rapidly as possible. And thanks to Jensen and his team, who've done an amazing job there, first in the gaming industry, the pixel strategy that he built around that, CUDA, the underlying platform that makes developers really productive with GPUs. All of that is kind of created this flywheel. And there's a bit of a
Hmm.
chip war going on, or a shortage of those, which
Yeah.
is sort of demonstrating the demand. And of course, the layer above that is all the models. So creating language models that then are able to ingest all this information and turn it into insights. That battle, I think, will turn into maybe a few remaining models that actually survive. So we're still in that sort of early adoption where there were hundreds of car companies in America, and now there's only a few. Same sort of thesis. The models will probably consolidate. And then there's tooling on top of the models, how to actually operate. And we've seen this in every technology sort of transformation. At some level, I think that like when AWS said, hey, we're going to open our data centers to let any individual use it, EC2, et cetera. This is back in 2006, and everybody thought, cloud, wow, cloud computing. What happens to my data center? What happens to all my team? What happens to the people, the resources, the tools? Well, we remade those into a cloud first thesis. And so that operational layer that EC2 and AWS and Amazon, of course, created, we think we're at the beginning of that. So there's this whole operational layer of tooling that is being built. But the top of the layer, and this is really where your original question, where are we seeing applications? The top of the layer is the business purpose solution that is for that unique role. And we think that every single potentially white collar role, if you use that as a macro thesis, probably has an opportunity to be vastly more productive. The
Hmm.
first area that we're seeing real skill enhancement and productivity is around software development. And so the GitHub Copilot platform that was announced is probably the most well-used component of generative AI in the industry in the world right now. It is resetting sort of the table stakes or the water level, perhaps around software development, whereby a new software developer can come in and use GitHub Copilot to build software at a 30, 40, 50% productive, enhanced model than they were manually. That
Right.
kind of productivity all by itself, if you just think about that, we've heard terms like software is eating the world, et cetera. So we're all dependent upon better and better software. Wow, if you can create that kind of productivity with something that is such a skill shortage, resource dependent problem,
Yeah.
with that kind of unlock, you will create sort of vast new opportunities. So that's just software development. The other areas that we're seeing things are around sales, marketing content, customer support, anything that's providing content. And so that's a lot about retrieval and generative information, sort of content generate. I think the next level is really around autonomous agents. And this to me is the bigger opportunity that will really unlock things. So just think if you're calling in to, I don't know, get something fixed. You're a long-standing customer with your telephone provider, your mobile phone service, et cetera. You've got multiple problems. You're just trying to make this thing work, but there's a billing problem that's associated with that. There's probably a customer retention thing associated with that. There's probably an upsell opportunity associated with that. All of those are separate transactions, if you will. And just think if there was an autonomous agent that could collect your problem as you voice it
Hmm.
to a machine, let's say, and that agent says, oh, I got it. There's multiple things here. I'm going to have to generate, based upon Bant's question,
Yeah.
a new answer than that's ever been discovered before because he's bringing a complex set of issues and I have to do this transaction. That's what a human will do, but it
Yeah.
might take me 5, 10, 15 minutes to actually be able to solve Bant's problem. What if I could do it faster?
Yeah.
What if I could do it with a machine? Now, do we displace customer support people or do we make the world more productive? I think we make the world a lot more productive.
Yeah, I
I think we
agree.
unlock things.
It's a really interesting space because I found myself as the CEO of a company that owned a ton of call centers about 7 years ago. And it was a really interesting experience. Certainly, I think at the time we were we were using some elements of kind of early AI to kind of track emotion of the customer and provide the agents scripts that were related to where the conversation was flowing and things like that. But ultimately, I mean, I think if we're truly honest with ourselves, that agent, that customer solution and service element in general is is really poor across the board, almost in every company. And when it's done well, it's such a eureka moment because you're like, as a customer, I had a positive experience the other night as I was trying to cancel one of these subscriptions that you sign up for. And I said to the agent, I was like, this is the best experience I've ever had. I almost feel like I shouldn't cancel your solution now. you know, so it's a real kind of game changer in the marketing space. So I think anything that can be done, that autonomous agent idea is fascinating. And, I think probably come as no surprise, one of the most interesting groups that was always looking at what we were doing were AI developers, AI development companies that just wanted the data so that they could learn and see and how all of that stuff was going. That's amazing. Well, I mean, Gamiel, I mean, it's great to see obviously this revolution happening as we are talking. You obviously mentioned that you worked in robotics and you did your thesis in that space. In some ways, this is almost probably like something that's been in the back of your mind for years and years. Tell me a little bit about kind of like the passion you have for this space.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think when I wrote my senior thesis, the idea was really that I think we can be a better version of ourselves if we could use technology better. I took a job right out of school, out of Cal, working at IBM. We were selling huge mainframes to big organizations, and we were transforming things. But boy, was it slow.
Mhm.
This is at the beginning. I'm old now. This was at the beginning of email. And I thought, well, what did we do with email? We took paper envelopes and put them online, basically. I mean, we
Right.
we didn't really change the workflow. We just changed the concept of where you could see it. I think this is actually much bigger than that. I think we're at the beginning of true transformative workflow enablement. And I think it will cause some consternation. You know, some people will say, "What? Wait a minute, this is the way we've always done a mortgage." Oh, maybe we don't need all these little steps in the process with all these fax machines and DocuSigns and all these stuff. Maybe there could be a redo of it. You know, think of Khan Academy. You know, I got to spend time with Sal Khan. He
Yeah.
was a speaker at an event, and I remember him, it just almost brought tears to my eyes as he talks about just using internet and mobile and data and making it accessible to people around the world who want to build a better life for themselves.
Right.
And they know that education really is about access to information, and he talked about this young woman in Iran who was trying to, no, Iraq, sorry, was trying to get an SAT score, and she wanted to go to college anywhere. And
Hmm.
Khan Academy wasn't available to her in her home. She had to hide, and her parents, father, et cetera, would not let her get any education. She would go across some boundary line into another country and get online. Ultimately, went to school, went to University of Chicago, and so on. And it's like,
Amazing.
wow, just access to information. She's now a doctor. She's leading some medical research at something, and I just listened to that. Wow, if we can make that kind of information available to everyone, 8 billion people across the world, just think what we could solve. This is the diversity concept, which is diversity of thought and insight, and all of that creativity gets unlocked.
Yeah.
So to me, I think we are self-limited in our business process, our knowledge that we know, and creativity will get unlocked by AI that we haven't ever seen. Even journalism, I think, will get
Yeah.
unlocked. There's a new form of journalism that we haven't yet seen, that'll be created by the generation that is behind us, that is
Yeah.
going to lead the way with a new theory of how to create a collective wisdom and insight. I mean, when Khan Academy, when Sal talked about just providing information to students, he was disrupting the education industry, and
Yeah.
he is. And it probably is ripe for some
Absolutely. I mean,
transformation.
look, I mean, the story that you just told was very inspiring, but I just think of my own situation with my own children. They finished high school in Spain, and my older son, basically there were certain things that he couldn't find to be taught in Spain, and he literally just went on Khan Academy and was just teaching himself. And it just shows you that it's a complete shift of how we've thought about bringing folks forward, educating them. I love the idea of obviously empowering individuals around the world. I often think about these challenges that you outlined up front, like climate change and all of these worries that we all talk about and see constantly. We're going to need everybody to think about these topics.
That's right.
We're going to,
That's right.
right, if we want to resolve these things. And so
And
empowering
and
these
I hope
folks.
those people aren't having to work on old paperwork and faxing machines. I mean, I just got an MRI for a knee that I've got, and the doctor's like, "Can you fax it to me?" It's like, I don't even know what a fax machine looks like anymore. You can't be serious. You're still using a fax machine, but they are, and they're troubled with it. You know, like, yep, that's all we have. Yep, Like, wow, if I could just reduce that level of unproductive work steps, we probably will solve all sorts of problems. So that is, to me, the big opportunity. It's the big unlock.
Well,
AI is the big unlock of creativity that we've been held back by. And this is just the beginning, as I keep repeating.
let's talk about the first toddler step then. I mean, here we are at the beginning of 2024. As you look out through this year, what types of things are you excited that we might see this year?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time with global CIOs. They come either here to meet with me in person, or I spend time on the phone with them and I ask them, what are you doing specifically around generative AI? It's a new opportunity. And the first answer is we're overwhelmed with demand from our business units. They finally feel like they understand that this whole AI thing makes sense to them. They feel like
Mhm.
they can do something better. And they've got all kinds of amazing use cases. The next problem is, or the next step is, these global IT leaders say, but I don't have the infrastructure to do this. There's three main obstacles. I don't have the talent in my organization. So what are you doing to help me solve the talent problem?
Mhm.
Second, I don't trust that I can just expose all of our corporate data and govern that data in an effective way. And then three, I'm not sure I want to put any of these AI things into production yet, because explainability, auditability, we hear these terms, hallucination and bias and all this stuff. I got to be able to know if I put it into production, it's not going to hurt us
Mhm.
in some way. And so that's the core stuff that we're working on right now, is solving to the talent, security, and explainability problems with tooling that helps these global IT leaders do that. The next stage is real solutions. So
Mhm.
for instance, we've got a company that's doing legal operations, just writing NDAs faster and better and more efficiently than a legal team can do, who are short-staffed typically. And it's like, geez, why are we doing mundane NDAs when we should be doing real IP work or
Yeah.
real contract negotiation? So what can we do to untap or leverage this technology to do that sort of thing? So we'll begin to see vertical solutions. So
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Well, clearly, we're going to see at least some plumbing, some of the critical plumbing to start to take shape. If you can resolve the legal profession, Gamiel, as quickly as possible, I think every person will thank you for that. And whenever a doctor asks for a fax of something, maybe we can avoid those things as quickly as possible. Gamiel, if someone wanted to learn more about what you and Mayfield are up to in this space, where's the best place to find you?
So I'm on the Mayfield website, so mayfield.com. I'm of course on LinkedIn. I do a lot of uh, conversations with CIOs and IT leaders. We call CXO Network that we've built, and we produce content there. So sharing ideas, really around helping this community of leaders in organizations learn from one another. So please check that out. It's called CXO of the Future. It's on the Mayfield website. And yeah, just reach out. Love to talk to people. So
Yeah, I should say some of those conversations are spectacular. So anybody who wants to see what some of the companies are that are building some of these key elements and platforms, definitely check out Gamiel's program. I've actually really enjoyed those, and I'm hoping to see a lot more. Sounds like we're going to. Well, listen, Gamiel, thank you so much for being on the show today. And really, I'd say providing us some clarity around where we are with AI. I sometimes feel like that purpose sometimes gets lost in the noise of the space right now. So, Gamiel, thank you so much for that. We've been speaking with Gamiel Gran. He is the Chief Commercial Officer at Mayfield. They are really, I'd say, one of the leading early stage investors. They're empowering entrepreneurs to scale successful ventures. And we've been talking about really where AI fits into that portfolio these days. And basically, I think I almost might say that it's fitting almost everywhere, but clearly we're at that foundational stage and trying to get things going in the right direction. Thanks so
that's
much for being on the program, and we look forward to seeing you again.
great. Real honor. Thanks, Ben.
Cheers.